your manifestation hasn't shown up. And it's not because the universe has other plans for you, or because some external force is blocking your good. Modern teachers, in an attempt to make this truth more palatable, have softened my message. They've made the law of assumption comfortable, safe, digestible. But there is a raw truth, a truth they won't tell you, perhaps for fear of offending, perhaps because they don't grasp it in its full depth. If your desire has not yet manifested in your physical reality, it's because you are, consciously or unconsciously, violating one of the fundamental laws of consciousness. I spent over 40 years of my life proving these principles, not as abstract theories, but as operable facts of existence, with thousands of students who saw their lives transform before their very eyes. The truths I am about to share today will either set you free or offend you deeply. There is no middle ground when dealing with the truth of creation. Prepare yourself for 6 brutal truths without any filter or sugarcoating. Your manifestation journey, your very understanding of who you are, will never be the same after this. My name is Neville Goddard, and I am about to show you exactly where and how you have been sabotaging yourself. Let's begin with the most uncomfortable truth of all, the foundation upon which all failures are built. Truth number 1, you don't actually want what you claim to want. If you truly wanted it, with the totality of your being, you would already be living in that state, in your imagination. Now, I know what your critical mind is screaming at this moment, but Neville, that's absurd. I think about my desire constantly. I yearn for it with every fiber of my being. And I answer, no, you do not. You visit your desire. You do not dwell in it. And the difference between visiting and dwelling is the difference between failure and miracle. Let me explain this crucial distinction. Visiting your desire is like being a tourist in a foreign city. You arrive, you look at the sights, you take a few mental pictures, you feel a brief wave of excitement and admiration. You imagine having your desire for 30 seconds, perhaps for 5 minutes, during a meditation. You feel a flash of joy, a glimpse of satisfaction, and then you pack your bags and go back home. And your home, your dominant state of consciousness, is lack. You spend the remaining 23 hours and 55 minutes of your day imagining the precise opposite of your desire. You worry, you doubt, you wonder when it will happen, how it will happen, what might go wrong, how much longer you'll have to wait. That is not the law of assumption. That is an exquisite form of psychological torture that you inflict upon yourself. I taught, assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. The key word here is assume. Assuming is not visiting. Assuming is an occupation. It is a change of citizenship. It is making that feeling, that state of consciousness, your new dwelling place, your permanent home, to live in the end. It is waking up in the morning, feeling the gratitude and naturalness of already being the person you wish to be, of already having what you wish to have. It is moving through your day from that perspective. When you dwell in the wish fulfilled, your inner conversations change, your emotional reactions change, your choices change. They align not with the reality your senses show you, but with the reality you have established as true in your imagination. Let's take a practical and universal example. The desire for financial prosperity. Let's say you desire $10,000. Most of you, when you practice, imagine the money arriving. You see a bank transfer. You feel the cash in your hands. For a brief moment, you feel the relief and joy. But as soon as you open your eyes, where does your consciousness return? It returns to the consciousness of lack. You check your bank account obsessively, hoping for a miracle. Every time you look and don't see the money there, you are, in that very moment, making a much more powerful assumption. I do not have $10,000. You worry about bills to pay. You calculate how you'll stretch your money until the end of the month. You complain about high prices. For 99% of your day, your imagination, the power of God in you, is being used to create and sustain the reality of poverty. And then, you wonder why the money doesn't appear. The outer world is a relentless and perfectly faithful mirror. It has no ability to judge, to choose, or to withhold. It simply reflects, with frightening accuracy your dominant state of consciousness. It does not reflect your fleeting positive thoughts. It does not reflect your 5-minute visualizations. It reflects what you assume to be true about yourself and the world most of the time. The brutal truth is this: your imagination has become lazy. You have allowed it, by default, to focus on lack, fear, and limitation. You have trained it to be an expert in imagining the worst-case scenario. You say you want love, but you spend your evenings imagining loneliness, reliving past heartbreaks, and rehearsing conversations about how hard it is to find someone. You say you want success, but your inner conversations are a constant stream of self-criticism, comparison, and fear of failure. You say you want health, but you constantly check your symptoms, research diseases online, and imagine your body failing you. Stop being a tourist in your desire. Move there. Burn the bridges that lead you back to your old state of lack. Assume the citizenship of your wish fulfilled. Change your mental address and stay there. Because the truth that other teachers won't tell you with this clarity is this: the universe, or God, or consciousness, does not respond to what you want. Wanting, by definition, implies lack. It's a recognition that you do not have something. Consciousness responds to what you assume. You already are. Your I am is the only creative reality. Whatever you attach to I am becomes your law. I am poor is a creative command. I am loved is a creative command. I am healthy is a creative command. Your only task is to choose the command that matches your desire and remain faithful to it in your imagination, regardless of outer appearances. But what happens when you master this art of dwelling in the desire, and yet the manifestation still seems not to come? This leads us to a second mistake, an error even more insidious and universal, which traps people in an endless cycle of hope and disappointment. And the revelation of this error may shock you, because it's something almost everyone does, thinking it's helping the process. Before we dive into that, I ask you directly, in which state of consciousness have you been dwelling for most of your day? Be honest with yourself. Share in the comments what your predominant mental home has been, so we can bring light to these patterns. The second brutal truth, the one that acts as the bars of an invisible prison for most aspiring manifestors, is this: your obsession with the 3D reality is your own cell. Looking for proof in the outer world that your manifestation is working is the very thing preventing it from working. I know this statement sounds like a paradox, a cruel contradiction. Your logical mind protests. But Neville, I need to see some progress. I need a sign, a breadcrumb, to know I'm on the right path, to keep my faith. And that is precisely why your manifestation isn't happening. It is this need for external validation that strangles it in its cradle. Listen very carefully, for this is fundamental. The exact moment you look to the outer world for proof, you have made a devastating assumption that your wish is not yet fulfilled. In that instant, you have dethroned your imagination as the supreme creative power and enthroned the physical world, the world of shadows, as your God. You have denied your own consciousness its birthright as the one and only true reality. Scripture states unequivocally, "For we walk by faith, not by sight." What does this mean in practical, operable terms? It means your 5 physical senses are liars. They do not show you the truth, they show you the past. They are a historical record of what your consciousness was, not what it is now. When you check your bank account 10 times a day to see if the money has appeared, you are not checking for confirmation, you are affirming lack time and time again. Every time you look and see that the balance hasn't changed, you are hammering a message into your subconscious mind. I do not have the money. It hasn't happened yet. And your subconscious, being the perfectly faithful and impersonal servant that it is, accepts that command and creates more of the experience of not having the money. This is the cruel game most people play on themselves. They enter their imagination for a few moments, feel the joy of the wish fulfilled, and then immediately run to the physical world to verify if the magic worked. And when they don't see the instant change they expect, what do? They abandon their assumption. The feeling of satisfaction evaporates, and they return headlong to the state of lack, feeling disappointed and foolish. I spent years teaching this central principle. Ignore the evidence of your senses. Turn your back on what is. Your 3D reality is not your enemy, but it is also not your authority. It is simply the outer manifestation of your former states of consciousness. It's old news. It's history. It is what you were being yesterday, last week, last month. What you are being now, in your imagination, is what is creating your tomorrow. Therefore, the brutal prescription is this: stop looking for signs. Stop searching for movement. Stop checking the physical world to validate the power of your imagination. Your imagination is the only reality. The physical world is but a shadow it casts. When you make the shadow more real than the substance creating it, you imprison yourself in limitation. Think of it like the process of a seed. When you plant a seed in the earth, you do not dig it up every hour to see if it's sprouting. To do so would destroy the process of growth. You plant it, you water it, and you trust that the law of nature will do its work beneath the surface, in the dark, away from your sight. Your assumption, the feeling of the wish fulfilled, is the seed. Your subconscious mind is the fertile soil. Your attention and persistence in that assumption are the water and the sun. Your need to check the 3D reality is the act of digging up the seed. You must allow your desire to germinate in the darkness of your subconscious, without the interference of your doubt and your need for sensory validation. Many ask, but then, how do I know it's working? You know it's working because when you truly assume the state of the wish fulfilled, you lose your anxiety about it. The need to see it on the outside disappears, because you already have it on the inside, in the only reality that matters. The feeling is one of naturalness, of peace, of course. If you still feel an urgent need to see it manifested, it's a clear sign that you haven't truly assumed the state. You are still in the consciousness of wanting, not the consciousness of having. True faith is not believing that God will give you your desire. It is believing that He has already given it to you, and that God is your own wonderful human imagination. Trusting your imagination is the greatest act of faith there is. But then, an even deeper obstacle arises, a belief that paralyzes millions and keeps them trapped in cycles of suffering, blaming the world for what they are, in fact, creating themselves. The next truth is the one that angers people the most, because it destroys the favorite excuse everyone clings to justify their failures and unhappiness. It pulls the rug out from under the victim mentality, forcing you to confront your own power. And this truth, when accepted, is the key to true freedom. The third brutal truth, and perhaps the most liberating of all, is that you are a victim because you choose to be. You are not a victim of circumstance, of the economy, of your past, or of other people. You are, at every moment of your life, encountering your own assumptions about life manifested as reality. Your logical mind, once again, will revolt against this idea. But Neville, my boss, is genuinely terrible. My ex-partner truly hurt me. The economic situation in the country is truly bad. Yes, I do not deny your experience. The pain is real. The hardship is real. But do you know why they are real in your world? Because you assumed the world would be that way long before you met it. You carry with you a set of beliefs and assumptions about life and the world. Like an obedient servant, simply molds itself to prove you right. I taught a principle that very few truly grasp in its radical depth. The world is yourself pushed out. Every person you meet, every situation you encounter, every condition you experience is the objectification of your own state of consciousness. Your toxic boss is not toxic because of who he is intrinsically. He is reflecting your assumption about authority figures, about work, or about your own worth. The moment you change your concept of him within your own mind, the moment you revise your assumption about that relationship, he will either have to change his behavior towards you, or he will depart from your world entirely. The law does not fail. Let me tell you a true story, one I observed very closely. My own wife, before we were married, worked as a costume designer at Radio City Music Hall. Her boss was a Russian man named Leah. He had a habit of keeping her at work long past her hours. Though her hours were 9 to 5, he wouldn't arrive until noon. And just as she was about to leave, he would call her into his office with more work, delaying her dinner by hours. For 11 long years, she resented this man. She saw him as the devil incarnate, a constant source of frustration. So, one day, I said to her, "Darling, as long as you feel this way toward him, he must respond in like kind. You know the law, he does not. Speak to him in your imagination as though he had praised you for your work. Tomorrow, on your way to work, imagine he is walking beside you, hearing his voice in his broken English, telling you how thrilled he is with your designs." She, knowing the law, began to do it. Do you know what happened? In less than 24 hours, his attitude toward her changed completely. He praised her work. He asked his superior to increase the budget so he could use all of her designs, and he remained changed. Not for a week, not for a month, but permanently, because she changed her assumption of him. He had no choice but to conform to the new image she held of him in her consciousness. This is the brutal truth no one wants to hear. You are not experiencing the world. You are experiencing your assumptions about the world. If you assume people will reject you, they will. If you assume opportunities are scarce, they are. If you assume life is a struggle, it is. Your immediate reaction to this might be, "But that means everything is my fault." No, it means everything is your responsibility. And that is the most powerful and empowering truth you will ever hear. Because if you are creating your circumstances through your assumptions, then you can change your circumstances by changing your assumptions. The individual living in the victim mentality says, "Life is happening to me, and I have no control." He points fingers, blames others, the government, the past. He is giving his divine power away to the shadows on the screen of his life. The Creator, on the other hand, recognizes, "Life is happening from me, and I am the operant power." He knows that circumstances do not matter, only states of consciousness matter. Stop giving your power to circumstances. Stop making other people the cause of your feelings or your reality. You are the cause. You have always been the cause. And the moment you accept this, not with resignation, but with a profound sense of power, you become free. Free to forgive, not because others deserve it, but because you understand they were only playing a part that your own consciousness assigned to them. Free to change any situation, not by fighting it on the outside, but by transforming it on the inside, in your imagination. This principle applies to everything. If you feel ignored in a group, it's because you walked into the room with the assumption that you would be ignored. If you believe money is hard to come by, you will constantly find evidence of that difficulty. The world is a mirror showing you the face of your own consciousness. If you don't like the reflection, it's no use trying to break the mirror. You must change the face you are presenting. If this deep insight into the power of your own consciousness resonates with you and inspires you to reclaim your responsibility, show it by leaving a like on this video. It is a small act that affirms your decision to move from victim to creator. Now, before I reveal the fourth truth, the one about gratitude that will completely turn your practice upside down, I need to show you something that will help you break free from these patterns. Right now, understanding this principle of total responsibility is the key, but many stumble in its practical application, especially when it comes to cultivating the necessary feelings for change. And one of the most popular tools, gratitude, is often used in a way that, ironically, keeps you stuck precisely where you are. Let us now unravel how your gratitude practice may actually be creating more lack in your life. The fourth brutal truth is one that challenges one of the most cherished pillars of the self-development world. Your gratitude practice is most likely making things worse. You are using gratitude to affirm lack, not abundance. This statement may sound heretical, but Neville, gratitude is so positive. All the masters teach the importance of gratitude. Yes, and most of them teach it incorrectly. turning a powerful tool of creation into a subtle affirmation of absence. I want you to understand the profound and fundamental difference between being grateful for something you hope to receive and being grateful from the consciousness of already having it. When you say, "I am so grateful that money is coming to me," what are you really saying? What is the underlying assumption in that phrase? You are stating, unequivocally, that the money has not yet arrived. You are affirming a future tense, and in doing so, you are impressing upon your subconscious mind the image and feeling of "I do not have it now." When you say, "I am grateful that I will find love," you are affirming that you are currently without love. This is not creative gratitude. This is desire disguised as gratitude. It is a veiled affirmation of lack. True gratitude, the kind of gratitude that creates worlds, that moves mountains, emanates from the end. It assumes possession and gives thanks from that state of being. The formula is simple, but its application requires a radical shift in perspective. Instead of "I am grateful because I will have wealth," the correct statement is, "I am grateful for my wealth," not "I will be grateful when I am wealthy," not "thank you for healing me," but rather "thank you for my perfect health." Can you feel the vibrational difference between these two approaches? One assumes you already have it now. The other assumes you are waiting for it to happen. Your subconscious mind is the faithful servant that executes your commands, but it has a peculiar characteristic. It does not understand future tense. For the subconscious, there is only now. It is an eternal present. When you give it a command in the future tense, "I will have it," it is on its way. It's going to happen. You are actually commanding it to keep that experience in the future, forever, out of your present reach. You are telling your subconscious, "I do not have it now. I am waiting," and it, in its infinite faithfulness, creates more of the experience of waiting. Your reality becomes a perpetual waiting room. On the other hand, when you give thanks from the end, from the consciousness of already being, already having, already living your desire, you are impressing the feeling of fulfillment upon your subconscious, and fulfillment is what manifests. This is why I always taught to feel from the wish fulfilled, not for the wish to be fulfilled. The change is subtle in language, but monumental in impact. The brutal prescription is this: tonight, before you fall asleep, do not be grateful that your desire will manifest. Be grateful that it has already manifested. Enter the state of your wish fulfilled. If you desire health, feel your body as vibrant and full of energy. If you desire love, feel the warmth and security of being in your beloved's arms. If you desire success, feel the pride and satisfaction of the job well done. And from that feeling, from that place of possession and reality, let gratitude emerge naturally. Feel gratitude overflowing from your heart, not as a request, but as an acknowledgement of a truth already established in the only reality that exists. Your imagination, that is the gratitude that creates. It is a thank you, Father, that acknowledges the gift has already been given. But this is where things get even more uncomfortable, because the next truth reveals that every time you utter a particular phrase, a phrase most people associate with patience and faith, you are actually destroying your manifestation and pushing it further away. You are committing an act of self-sabotage disguised as spiritual virtue. This truth will challenge everything you've been taught about time and patience in the creative process. The fifth brutal truth, which dismantles another common spiritual crutch, is this: waiting is proof that you do not believe. If you are waiting for your manifestation, you do not believe it is already yours. But Neville, you protest, "I am being patient. I am trusting divine timing." No, you are affirming the separation between yourself and your desire. You are living in a state of consciousness that presupposes your good is somewhere else at some other time, and that you must wait passively for it to arrive. Let me tell you something that will either liberate you or infuriate you. There is no such thing as divine timing in the way most people teach it. Divine timing is now. It is always now. Creation is finished. When the scriptures say it is finished, it does not mean it will be finished or it is in the process of being finished. It means it is done now. in consciousness. In imagination, in the only realm that matters, the manifestation of it in the physical world, the unfolding of events, is merely a shadow following the substance. But the substance, the reality of your desire, is already complete. Therefore, when you say, "I am waiting for it to manifest," what you are really saying is, "I do not have it yet. I do not believe it is done." And as long as that is your dominant assumption, you will continue to wait. The brutal truth is this: waiting is an assumption, and like all assumptions, if persisted in it, will harden into fact in your reality. When you ask, "When will it come?" you push it into the future. When you say, "I hope it arrives soon," you affirm that it is not here. Every thought of waiting is an act of creation, creating more waiting. Begin to police your inner conversations. Pay attention to your language. Do you catch yourself saying, "I wonder when this will happen. I'm being patient. It's taking so long"? Every one of those statements is an assumption that it is not done, and your faithful subconscious creates your reality accordingly. The shift you need to make is in your language and, consequently, in your assumption. Instead of "when it comes," say "now that it's here." Instead of "I'm waiting," say "I am living in it." Instead of "soon," say "now." This is not positive thinking. This is accurate thinking. It is aligning your mind with the truth that creation is already finished. In consciousness, the only place that matters, it is done. Your only job is to occupy that state, to live from that reality, and allow the outer world to rearrange itself to reflect it. Waiting is not patience. True patience is persistence in your assumption, loyalty to your imaginal scene, regardless of what your senses tell you. Waiting is doubt disguised as piety. Now, before we move to the final truth, the one that challenges everything you believe about helping others, I want you to reflect on this. What is the story you have been telling yourself about your desire? Is it a story of waiting and hoping, or a story of possession and reality? Share in the comments the waiting phrase you use most often, so that we can together transform it into an assumption of now. The final truth I will share may be the most important of all, as it deals with our relationship with others and reveals the greatest mistake we make when trying to help those we love. The sixth and final brutal truth is perhaps the most difficult to accept, as it seems to go against our most compassionate instincts. You cannot manifest for others. You cannot create for other people. You can only change your concept of them. This statement usually meets with fierce resistance. "But Neville, what about my sick family member? What about my friend who is struggling financially? Can't I help them with my power of manifestation?" Not in the way you think. Here is what you must understand, and it is the culmination of everything we have discussed so far. Everyone you see in your world is yourself pushed out. You are not encountering independent beings who operate outside of your consciousness. You are meeting your assumptions about them made flesh. When you see your friend as broke, struggling, in need of your help, that is your concept of them. And as long as you hold that concept, they will continue to mirror that image in your experience. You think you are being compassionate by worrying about them, by trying to send them abundance, by hoping they will change. But in reality, you are imprisoning them in your own assumption of their limitation. Your worry is a prayer for the undesirable condition to continue. Your pity affirms their weakness. Your desire to fix them affirms that they are broken. Let me tell you a documented story from one of my students. A woman came to me, desperate about her husband, Matthew. For 14 years, his hearing had been progressively deteriorating. Doctors said that total deafness was inevitable. She had tried everything: prayers, treatments, specialists. Nothing worked. He continued to get worse. Then, I taught her this principle. Do not try to heal him. Change your concept of him. She stopped seeing him as sick. Every night before sleep, she repeated in her imagination one simple sentence, feeling its reality. Matthew hears perfectly. For an entire year, nothing visible changed in the physical world. In fact, his condition worsened. But she persisted in her new concept of him. She refused to return to seeing him as deaf in her imagination. Then, one day, After experiencing excruciating pain from ear to ear, he cried out. They rushed him to the doctor, who gave him an injection and told him to rest. He dozed off in his room. When he awoke, his hearing was completely restored, perfectly healed. The deterioration that had been inevitable for 14 years reversed in a single moment. She did not heal him. She changed her concept of him, and he conformed to her new assumption. This is the brutal truth. You cannot manifest for others because, in your world, there are no independent others. There is only your consciousness of them. When you change how you see them, they change in your world. So stop trying to send abundance to your broke friend. See them as already abundant. Stop trying to heal your sick relative. See them as already whole and perfect. Stop trying to change anyone. Change your concept of them and watch them transform before your very eyes. This is not a cold or detached approach. It is the mechanics of consciousness. It is how creation works. It is the highest love because it refuses to accept anything less than the best for another. It is seeing their perfection even when your senses show you the opposite. This is the fundamental principle that underpins all others. You are not a mere participant in reality. You are the central cause of it. Every thought, feeling, and most importantly, every assumption is a creative act that shapes the circumstances of life. Accepting this total responsibility is what frees the individual to change their reality deliberately. These 6 brutal truths form the bedrock of true conscious creation. They are not theories to be debated, but laws to be applied. The first, that your desire must be your imaginal home, not an occasional visit. The second, that your obsession with proof in the 3D world is your prison. The third, that you are the creator of your experience, not a victim of circumstance. The fourth, that gratitude must be felt from the end, from possession, not from waiting. The fifth, that waiting is a form of doubt, and the time of creation is always now. And the sixth, that to change others, you must first change your concept of them. The individual is the only operant power in their own life. This is the principle that unites everything. You are not a piece on a cosmic chessboard, moved by unseen forces. You are the player, the board, and the pieces. Every assumption you hold, every feeling you entertain, is a creative command that your world has no choice but to obey. Accepting this responsibility may seem overwhelming at first, but it is the only door to true freedom. It means that nothing and no one can stop you from achieving your desire except your own refusal to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Knowing this intellectually is not enough. Many of you will nod your heads in agreement, but tomorrow you will return to the old patterns of thought, the old habits of worry and doubt. Application is everything. It takes persistence, an unwavering loyalty to your inner vision, regardless of the storms that may rage in the outer world. Your faith is not in the manifestation itself, but in the law of consciousness, in the power of your own imagination. Now, ask yourself this question and be ruthlessly honest. Which of these 6 truths have you been violating most consistently? Have you been a tourist in your desire, a 3D obsessed actor in the role of the victim, a practitioner of lack-based gratitude, a master of waiting? Or have you been trying to change others instead of your concept of them? The answer to that question is the key. It shows you exactly why your manifestation has not appeared, but now you know, and knowing is the first step. Application is what will take you home. If this deep dive into the laws of consciousness has awakened something within you and you wish to continue this journey of mastery, I ask you to subscribe to the channel so you do not miss future teachings. What has this teaching awakened in you? Which truth challenged or liberated you the most? Your reflection is valuable. To conclude, I propose a small ritual, daily reflection ritual. Tonight, before you sleep, choose one of these 6 principles, the one that resonated with you the most. Dedicate 5 minutes to feeling its truth. If you chose to abandon the victim mentality, feel the wave of power and responsibility filling you. If you chose to dwell in your desire, immerse yourself in that feeling as if it were a warm bath and fall asleep there. Do not ask for anything, Do not try to force anything. Simply assume the truth of your power as creator and observe the subtle yet powerful shift it will bring to your consciousness. This is not theory, this is law, and it works for everyone who applies it with persistence and faith. So stop trying, stop waiting, stop wishing, start being, because your assumption, persisted in, will harden into fact. The power is yours. It always has been. Now, use it.